"Don't cry, mister. You can borrow my mom." The little boy to the CEO sitting alone at the park. The rain-soaked leaves still glistened under the weak morning sun when the world of Adrian Hale, one of the richest, most respected CEOs in the city, collapsed quietly on a wooden park bench. His tailored suit was wrinkled from a night without sleep, his eyes swollen not from exhaustion, but from a grief he could not hide anymore. The business empire he had built with 2 decades of sacrifice was slipping away due to betrayal from the very people he trusted most. But what shattered him completely wasn't the downfall of the company. It was the silent emptiness of losing the only family he had left, his mother. In that moment when he believed no one in the world saw him, a tiny hand tugged at his sleeve. A small boy, no older than 6, with big brown eyes full of warmth, looked up at him and whispered words that cut deeper than the sharpest truth. "Don't cry, mister. You can borrow my mom." If you believe in kindness, second chances, and humanity still alive in the world, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to KH Stories to support more emotional stories like this. Adrian felt a lump rise in his throat as he turned toward the boy, whose simple innocence felt more comforting than any boardroom full of polished executives. He hadn't cried in years. CEOs didn't cry, or at least that is what the world expected. But the little boy's presence, so gentle and unassuming, unleashed something inside him. His mind reeled back to the night before, papers scattered across the office floor, lawyers explaining how his most trusted partner siphoned money, a board meeting demanding his resignation, and then the phone call from the hospital informing him that the only person who ever loved him without conditions had passed away quietly in her sleep. The world had taken everything from him in less than 24 hours, leaving him like this, alone on a park bench, holding his face in shaking hands. The boy's mother, a woman in her early 30s with tired eyes and a simple grace in her presence, approached with an apologetic smile. She looked like someone who had weathered storms too, someone who held strength not because life was easy but because she didn't have the luxury to fall apart. Adrian couldn't help but notice the grocery bags in her hand, the weariness in her posture, yet the softness she carried as she apologized for her son's bold words. But before she could pull him away, Adrian shook his head and said it was all right. For the first time in months, he felt seen, not as the powerful CEO everyone expected him to be, but as a man who had lost too much. The boy sat beside him without hesitation, swinging his legs playfully, unaware that his small gesture had begun to stitch something broken inside Adrian's heart. As the minutes turned to hours, Adrian found himself talking, really talking, in a way he had never done. He explained nothing in detail, yet the woman understood everything. She sensed the heaviness in his silence, the pain behind his sighs, the loneliness pressed deep in his chest. Her name was Liana, and she worked 2 jobs to support her son, Owen. Their life wasn't easy, but there was something unshakable in the bond they shared, something that made Adrian realize how much he had missed a real connection. Though he had money, success, status, and influence, he had never known the warmth of a small family laughing over simple joys or the comfort of being accepted without expectations. Over the following week, Adrian returned to that same park bench, drawn by something he couldn't fully explain. Maybe it was the peace he felt watching Owen chase birds across the pavement, or the sense of grounding he found when Liana spoke about her struggles without bitterness. The more time he spent with them, the more he understood that life didn't revolve around boardrooms, deadlines, or reputation. It revolved around connections, the kind that healed wounds silently. Yet he didn't tell them who he really was. They didn't ask, and he didn't explain. For the first time, he could be just a man, not a CEO drowning in power and pressure. But storms don't rest for long. One afternoon, while Adrian was sitting with them, his phone exploded with messages. His former partner had officially blamed him for the financial chaos. Headlines claimed he was the mastermind of fraud. Shareholders panicked. Employees protested. The world that once praised him now spit accusations at him. The weight crushed him, and he felt the panic rising, but before he could spiral, he felt Owen's small hand slide into his. The boy didn't know what was happening, but he sensed the fear in Adrian's stillness. Liana sat beside him, her voice low and steady, reminding him that truth always finds its way, even when buried under lies. That night, Adrian made a decision that would change everything. He revealed who he truly was. He told them that he was not simply a man going through a bad day. He was the CEO of a company drowning in scandal. He expected them to step away, maybe even judge him, but instead, Liana looked at him with the same steady softness and said that people who fight alone eventually break. She told him he needed to stand for himself, not as a powerful man, but as someone who deserved justice. Her words became an anchor in the storm. With their encouragement, Adrian hired a new investigative team, gathered evidence he once ignored out of misplaced loyalty, and fought against the very people who betrayed him. The battle was brutal: long courtroom days, relentless media harassment, endless nights of questioning his worth. Yet every evening when he passed by the small apartment where Liana and Owen lived, he felt something shift inside him. They always welcomed him, with a simple dinner, warm laughter, or stories from Owen's day. In their presence, he wasn't a man losing everything. He was a man gaining something he never thought he deserved. Months passed. The truth finally surfaced. Adrian's partner was exposed, arrested, and charged. The company apologized publicly for forcing him out. Shareholders begged him to return. But standing in that boardroom again, he discovered something surprising. He didn't want his old life back. He didn't want cold offices or corporate applause. He wanted peace. He wanted connection. He wanted the warmth of something real, something he had found by accident on a rainy morning in a public park. And so, he walked away from everything that once defined him. Instead of rebuilding a corporate empire, he began rebuilding himself. He spent time with Owen, who called him his best grown-up friend, and helped Liana with things she never had the luxury to dream of, like fixing her car, helping with bills, and even encouraging her to open the small bakery she always dreamed of but never believed she could afford.